Chrono Odyssey went from being the most hyped MMORPG of 2025 to the most hated one in the span of just 3 days. And this isn't your regular negativity every new MMORPG has. No, this is an actual rage-fueling hate towards the game and developers. Not cool. I already made a video sharing my thoughts and opinions. I don't hate the game, I don't love the game, I think that the closed beta test version was a really bad representation of what the game could have been, and it most certainly doesn't deserve that much hate. In this video we will talk about what exactly happened, who's to blame, and 3 crucial mistakes developers have made that led to the outrage. The hype usually makes or breaks a game. In this case, it completely killed it. The hype for Chrono Odyssey kept being generated for years and months, all leading up to the Summer Games Fest trailer. The trailer showed actual in-game footage, which in the end didn't really correspond to the in-game gameplay. But who actually looks at any trailer expecting that exact gameplay? Trailers are a marketing trick designed to create hype with flashy, cool-looking, over-the-top and unrealistic gameplay. So if you saw the trailers and expected that gameplay, didn't get it, and now you hate the game, well, that's on you. Then the NDA was lifted and all the partner content creators that were part of the focus group testing could release their video reviews. Which leads us to the problem number 2. All the videos started going live and they were all the same. Every single creator hyped and praised the game, which set way too high expectations for beta. The creators knew that the version they played, the shitty version, is the same version we would get to play in the closed beta. Some of them said it in their videos, but most of them didn't. But can you really blame the creators for a shitty product? Well, partially you can. Because they knew they were hyping up a bad version. The videos generated large amounts of views and new subscribers, they even made some revenue from the ads, but in turn they would end up losing a lot of credibility in the MMORPG community. The problem with their videos is that all the good and positive things have been complimented and praised highly, while all the bad and negative things have been said in a positive and a nice way. The most negative thing most of them said was, it's janky and it needs polish. Everything else that was bad was spun up in a positive way. And they had to do that, otherwise they would risk losing partnership, right? Because if they weren't sponsored, they weren't paid, and they weren't explicitly told that they have to make a positive hype video, then I honestly would be worried, because that would mean that they have a really shitty taste and understanding of what's good and what's bad in the MMORPG. I mean, there's kind of a reason why the actual top MMO creators weren't in this selected group. Because they don't give a shit, and sure as hell won't give positive hype reviews about a bad version without actually getting paid. But smaller creators, well, they would do it for free, in exchange for growth, exposure, and being a part of the creator program. It's a win-win for Kakao Games. The insane hype and high expectations set a standard that unfortunately wasn't met. And this is the number 1 reason why the majority of MMORPG community hates Chrono Odyssey. Let me ask you this. Do you actually like the core gameplay of Chrono Odyssey? If you answered yes, then that should be enough, because the majority of complaints were on the technical side, which will 100% be improved, but the core gameplay isn't going to change much. Did you all forget Throne of Liberty first public beta test? How bad the combat optimization, server stability and general feel for the game was? The game had a fucking auto combat, auto moving, auto farming with a mobile UI design. It was 10 times worse than what Chrono was. And guess what? You all hated it, you all complained, and when developers fixed everything, removed auto combat and improved overall gameplay, you all fucking played it on release and you were just as hyped. And guess what? You can hate and complain about Chrono as it is deserved, and I won't defend it because the version we got was shit, but you know, yes you, the one I'm pointing my invisible finger to the screen, you fucking know that you will still play Chrono Odyssey on release. Because guess what? There isn't anything better and new to play. And you're gonna like it for a week or a month at least. Because we, the MMORPG community, are all fucked in the head and we can't wait to play whatever garbage we can get as long as it's new and shiny. The number 2 reason for all the hate is that the game looks awfully a lot like New World. And the problem isn't that Chrono Odyssey looks like New World, because New World isn't a bad game. It's quite decent, but unfortunately it was being developed, published and managed by a shitty incompetent company that even after 5 years of player feedback still cannot get it right. No, the hate came because developers actively lied about not using New World. Like it's such a bad thing to use New World as inspiration when they literally copy-pasted everything from New World and just added Elden Ring bosses. It's 2025, the players aren't stupid. The moment you load in the game and start running with your character, you know it's just like New World. And regarding that PvP camp where they said it's just a placeholder, you can bet your fucking ass they 100% yoinked that from New World and hope nobody would notice. If you take something as a placeholder from another game, you use the exact same asset. The fact that they actively change colors and rearrange some other assets inside tells that this 100% wasn't a placeholder. It was copy-pasted like 95% of the game. And that's fine. What's not fine is actively trying to hide any relations to the New World, lie about it, get caught, and then double down on the lies. New World does have some really cool aspects and systems that Chrono Odyssey would 100% benefit from, and I'd love to see them implemented. Like the game had over 900,000 peak concurrent players on release. If Chrono Odyssey can get half as that, it would be a huge success. But I guess so much about developers genuinely caring and all the transparency they keep talking about. Like what's next? The game will be pay to win on release, despite them saying it won't have any pay to win aspects. But the thing is that pay to win is all about perception. Korean developers could see pay to win completely differently than Western players. I mean, they already said that there will be pay for convenience, which in many players' eyes is pay to win. When you dumb it down, all the hate stems from these two main reasons: insane hype that set high unrealistic expectations, which were shattered by a shitty playable version, and the fact that players are pissed it's 95% copy-pasted from New World, while developers are actively avoiding, hiding and lying that they didn't take any inspiration or copied anything from New World. So here are the 3 mistakes developers made that led to the hate. First and most crucial mistake was labeling the playtest as a closed beta test, while knowing it's being played on a version from 2024 with the sole purpose of testing server stability and core systems. Beta in gaming usually means a 90% finished product while 10% is improving performance, stability, bugs and other minor things. Calling it closed alpha test would work better, because A, it was using the old alpha build from 2024 anyways, B, it would set lower expectations, and C, player retention would potentially be higher as players wouldn't quit after 30 minutes expecting finished product. The players might have given the alpha version more time, which would generate more feedback for the future fixes. Now the common practice in gaming is that you are always going to play on an older, most stable version of the game. There is always a better and improved internal version that is actively in development, so I understand them using the old but stable version. The problem is that the partnered creators played on the same version back in February, which could potentially mean that no work has been done for 4 months. Which leads me to mistake number 2. Developers should have never lifted the NDA and allowed partnered creators to publish those mostly misleading videos, especially if they didn't explicitly tell each of them to make a positive review and not talk about negatives. The over-the-top cinematic trailers and gameplay showcases would have been enough to generate hype. In February, 65 selected creators had 14-day uninterrupted access to the full version of Chrono Odyssey. They played, they grinded and hopefully gave feedback. I say hopefully because I fear the worst thing might have happened here. After a 14-day playtest, the creators gave the feedback, most likely in the same way as they did their early review videos. All positive, great game, a bit janky and needs polish. They were just happy to be there and playtest the game early. But surely out of 65 creators there had to be some that noticed all the bad things and reported it as a feedback. Because then 2 things could have happened. The developers took all of the positive feedback and decided that if creators liked it so much, surely the players will too. And because of that they didn't bother improving almost anything for 4 months, so they shipped it to a live public playtest thinking they had a quality version and it ended in disaster. Or scenario 2 where there was a lot of negative feedback which developers ignored because they didn't think they can fix it in 4 months before closed beta, so they just said fuck it and let's hope for the best. The worst part is that there is one person in their team, a head of quality assurance, who got all this feedback and decided to approve the shitty version for a public playtest. After all the complaints started pouring in, the developers had to say on social media that there already is an improved version which fixed most of their complaints. But after speaking to several partner creators, they had no idea about this new version, and developers never said they fixed anything based on the feedback after the February playtest, so take that as you want. And the third mistake is something that developers will most likely do in the future, and that is force and rush to release the game by the end of 2025. The reason for that is that Kakao Games had a Q4 2025 release in their financial report, meaning that the Chrono Studio, which is the developer, will have to rush an improved version for release. I honestly do think that they were happy with the closed beta test version, and I hope that the players will like it so they won't have to fix a lot. But unfortunately, there is a high likelihood that the end of the year release will be rushed, resulting in a launch disaster. When a big corporation is funding your development studio, you are expected to release whenever they say. Since all of the issues will need at least 1 to 2 more years to completely fix and polish everything, Kakao Games has two options. Force Q4 2025 release, hope you sell enough copies to turn the profit, add pay to win to boost revenue, fix the issues on the fly after the release, just make sure it's stable enough. This will result in the game being dead within 1 month, and Kakao Games will start working on porting Chrono Odyssey to mobile. This is an obvious short-term money-making route. Or they can take the long-term route, which would mean indefinitely delaying the release to end of 2026, run playtests as often as possible to gather feedback, improve the game massively, regenerate the hype on an actually really good version, and enjoy the long-term steady source of revenue from happy players. But we all know which route Kakao Games will take. In conclusion, the hate and negativity is kinda deserved because we did play on a really bad version. But it being bad isn't really the game's fault. The core gameplay isn't bad, and it doesn't mean that the game won't improve. Chrono Odyssey won't be ready for release in 2025. I just truly hope that they take all the feedback, they take the time, and they don't rush for profit. Regardless if you hate the game or not, you and me both know it that you will still play the game on release. Remember that hate, negativity and complaints are usually the biggest fuel and the best feedback for developers to fixing things. Just please keep it civil and constructive. Don't just say trash game, you sound like an idiot. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing and watch my Chrono Odyssey closed beta review appearing on your screen.